Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video, I'm going to go into the depths of my imagination and how I think about things and your comments on the video yesterday. Thank you very, very much. I've read most of them and really interesting, and a lot of people from California talking about a 5150 when people are forcibly taken to a hospital for mental health reasons. In the UK we call it being committed or sectioned, and I've also been watching, thanks to you all pointing me in the right direction, I've been watching some YouTube videos here on YouTube that are horror stories from people who have been sectioned. I'm not going to put any links in the description because I feel a bit depressed actually having watched them. These poor people. And a lot of you have said it's very difficult to get somebody sectioned in America. And I think a lot of you from the UK and other countries said as much. But some others of you have, I think, gotten on my vibe. I'm just going to talk generally today. I'm not talking about a particular couple who are on a worldwide privacy tour. I'm just talking in general. And it's quite horrifying, actually, that if someone has a spouse, so I'm not talking about anyone specific, and we're going into Fiona's imagination as well, to a certain extent. So this is not a scientific video or a factual or to be taken, you know. If there were perhaps an evil spouse who wanted custody of the children, they may well be capable of creating scenarios, manufacturing evidence and building up to a scenario. There are people like that exist. Some personal homes may be fitted with security, CCTV. A situation can easily be staged with a hidden camera, which might depict the spouse as violent, a threat to their partner, a threat to the children, a threat to themselves. So I do get where, I'm actually going to go into the kitchen, it's so hot here today. Whew. So yeah, I completely agree and understand a lot of you saying, that it's very difficult. Now, I think that's if what we're looking at is a level playing field. We're looking at a loving spouse, a loving parent, child, or family member who wants to get someone sectioned for genuine and good reasons, to keep them safe, get them well, get them treatment. That is not what I was really talking about yesterday, and it's certainly not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about what if we are dealing with, or what if anybody is dealing with, someone who has ulterior motives, who wants custody of children, who would like to take control of all the money and the entire situation. Now, some of you actually really, really fascinatingly pointed out that there are certain people who exist who may already have control of the spouse because of having a controlling personality, and that they may have broken that person to such an extent. However, that they might get fed up with them and think, I don't want you in the house. I want the money, I want the children, I want you to go away, and I want to keep everything that I obtained when I married you. So, I mean, this is Fiona's mind. This is how my mind works. I always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And obviously there are worse things that a spouse can do than have someone committed. I mean, they can bump them off, and we all know there are cases in the news all the time. I was talking to a friend last year about fentanyl. Now, I have no knowledge of this drug. I don't know if it's used for recreational purposes or it's just prescription, but this friend of mine said, well, if a spouse has admitted to taking drugs, they could easily be overdosed with their regular choice of their palate. Just slip them a little extra and it can be put down to accidental death or suicide. So, I mean, this is really the realms of where my mind is going at the moment. And I kind of wish I hadn't watched any of those videos on YouTube. I'd advise don't look them up because they are upsetting. I don't know if anybody ever saw the Paris Hilton thing where she was just dragged out of bed in the middle of the night by her parents and sort of hired one of those facilities to come, and I mean my daughter was freaked out by it, totally freaked out. She was like, oh my God, nobody would really do that to their own child, would they? And I don't know the background of Hilton's family. She's not someone I follow, but I'd just seen that. I think it was on Netflix when we used to have Netflix. Cancelled all that long ago. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And even with the, as I understand it, the 5150 is like a 72-hour holding period. Even if it's not a long holding period, it's a score, ding, 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 for the spouse that arranged it. Because then if you enter court for anything, custody, divorce, you can bring it up, I'm sure, and say, your lawyer can say, isn't it true that you were sectioned for 72 hours? That can be very damaging. And also, on the video yesterday, you know, because I was just talking about the privacy couple, a lot of you said, you know, the king would never allow it. Well, I would imagine telephone calls would be made. However, America is not a monarchy. I'm not quite sure how much lead the king swings. And I'm not actually sure if a marriage certificate trumps king. Especially if the person is American, they're living on homeland territory, and the spouse is a foreigner. Obviously, I'm sure calls would be made to embassies, flights would be taken urgently, and action would be taken. But there's a lot to think about, and I'm going to start showing quite a keen interest, actually, on mental health issues in America. Because I hear a lot of talk about mental health this, mental health that, mental health, mental health. And yeah, that's good that everybody these days feels they can say, I feel depressed, and you know, I sometimes my mental health suffers and stuff. But I think with some people who may overdo it a little bit, they start to tread on thin ice where people will then have a license to say, you crazy, if you see what I mean. The mind boggles, it really does. It just, you've had a look in my crazy mind today, and the sort of things that cross my mind. But I mean, I do, and that's largely speaking how we as a family avoid a lot of absolute disasters that are avoidable by kind of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And I'm looking at my jacuzzi and I don't think our puncture kit, repair kit worked on that. Oh, probably have to get another new one of them. So anyway, thoughts and opinions along those lines. We're just talking generally, we're not talking about anybody specific. And also a lot of you had said in the video yesterday, you know, don't put certain ideas in a certain person's head, because yes, I'm sure they do watch this channel. And the reason they watch this channel is because of other YouTubers that I've defended so fiercely. So yeah, they do for sure. And my point really rather is heading people off at the pass, so that in the eventuality that any misfortune might happen in the future, I can refer back to these videos and your comments, and we can all say, oh, can everybody have a look at it? Because that's the other thing. I'm glad I remembered that. For all of us here in this community, our antennas are already up. You know, a certain privacy couple, whatever they say, whatever PR they put out, our suspicions, you know, we're going to scrutinise it to hell. The problem is the majority of the population are not here. They're out there, they're largely unaware of problems, and they may judge situations, you know, child protection services, judges, psychiatrists, they may judge a situation in an uneducated fashion. You know, they don't know or understand the history or the dangers. They're just looking at it as someone who's just come into this problem. So in the eventuality that anything misfortunate might happen, it would be great if we can all kind of be ready for that and say, whoa, no, I don't think that's an accident. Oh, whoa, no, I don't think that's fair. Do you see what I mean? Little shit as much as somebody has been, I don't think anybody here would sit back and just let that happen, if you know what I mean. So, because I hear a deafening silence, which worries me. Doesn't it worry you? What cogs are turning in the background at the moment? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I hope a lot of you understood this video. I know there's bound to be people who say, no, I don't know what you're talking about, but I know an awful lot of you will understand where I'm coming from. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts.